as well as anything about the future that they want to talk about. And so we're going to, let's see here, we're going to record this call.
I see some familiar face.
With Craig. Yeah, and if anybody has anything else that they want to chat through or any topics they want to bring up, definitely feel free to interrupt and do that. I also want to make note that we had our first builders call earlier this week on Tuesday. And so kind of some housekeeping. We're going to do a regular cadence of...
Now recording.
We're going to do a regular cadence of builders calls one week and then the community calls the week after. And I'm going to get an agenda published a little bit earlier so that way people can see what kind of stuff to expect, although I think everybody realizes that the pace of Web3 is, kind of lightning fast. So consider them expected agendas, but we'll probably have to pivot as things come up. So cool. If anybody has any questions, thoughts, concerns, let me know. Otherwise, I think I'm going to hand it right over to Ads to kind of give us an update on wPOKT and the changes that we're making there and how we can get involved.
Yeah, absolutely. Dermot, I don't know if you want to give an intro.
Yeah, sure. I think I don't have to be too long either because I think you're going to talk about more interesting stuff. But yeah, I think it's as per Ads updates, the community we have a lot of cool stuff coming up around the corner. And yes, the tech is complete for wPOKT. It's all good to go. Audit passed. The minor remedial actions all done. So that's great. And Halborn are arguably the best auditing firm in the land. And we're effectively all good to go on that front. But yeah, we have this opportunity that we want to leverage in the coming weeks, which Ads will talk about in a second. But yeah, before we do, I think it's just important to remind ourselves about what wPOKT is and what it stands for, and I guess the potential there, because it's this major focal point event. And yes, it's incredibly important that we are integrated with the most valuable and active crypto ecosystem in Ethereum, and also that we massively improve our liquidity. But really, it is an enabler. It's not a panacea or anything else. But the opportunity with wPOKT is to reconnect with so many advisors, investors, contributors, people that came into Pocket and actually churned out, lost faith, whatever else, and to leverage all the good news coming out, really to turn around sentiment and interest for Pocket. This is probably the biggest opportunity we've had to do so in the last 18 months. So it's super exciting, and that kind of pathway I'm kind of thinking about is that we create way more awareness across all of the things that really matter to Pocket, our technology, our vision and culture, and actually do it in a way that people believe us, but ultimately to convert them into long-term members and contributors. But yeah, so I'll kind of leave it there, and Ads is crafting our marketing comp strategy and really kind of bring this to life.
Cool. So yeah, I mean, I guess a lot of what I want to say is in that post. We are, trying to address that under-discussed piece of that lovely Masari quote, and really wanting to get the story out to more people and taking wPOKT as a really good focal point that we can build up a bit of momentum towards. It also just so happens that we've got some other pretty major milestones. I think 2023 is a really interesting year for the project. I know it hasn't been without bumps and whatnot, but there has been so much accomplished already this year when you look at the clarity that has come around the vision, the DNA, the ecosystem thesis. You look at the implementation of revenue for the protocol level. You look at the inflation measures that we've taken. Like we are coming of age again. We are growing up as a project. I feel like now is the time to really start ramping that up and sharing that narrative. We've got some big protocol news that I think probably everybody on this call is aware of. We have the opportunity to get some really good tier 1 media coverage off the back of that. We have various ideas of how we make that work hard, but we've already got interest from at least one journalist. We're going to be offering it under embargo probably on Monday and giving them until Wednesday. If we don't get a bite from the first journalist we approach, we'll the following Monday. We've then got a broader release that we're going to go out with. We've got a few different media angles that we can take. There's a lot of conversation right now around data availability. We're going to put comments together for everything and anything, just to try to make sure that we ramp up visibility. We've also, wrapping into that story, the decentralization of our gateways. I think now is a great time to start to embrace the narrative around our past, specifically looking at censorship resistance. I know that we haven't always been able to be as censorship resistant as we would like. I know that Web3 forgives, but it doesn't forget. And I think now is a great time as we approach potentially being within line of sight of permissionless gateways, to start to embrace that and start to talk about how we have absorbed the lessons and how we are building, how we are now within line of sight of being able to fix it, as well as talking about the decentralization of our existing gateways, being able to talk about some of the cool community contributions that we've had. So the goal is really to kind of classic Web3, build the airplane mid-flight, just do a quick reskin on our website because we don't have time to do any more, so that it just looks a little more polished while we kick off the bigger website project. There'll be a post in the forum about that today. And then, we've also got a project kicked off to sort out our technical docs and just make those feel frictionless. We're on a mission to find and root out any points of friction that we can find anywhere within what we do. So that when we get these new eyeballs to our project, they come in and they love it, and they stay, and we can continue the journey through October, where we're going to be punning away and rebranding it as POKTober, and really embracing that call to arms around turning around the fact that we're under discussed, and encouraging everybody and anybody who knows us and has any reach and clout within our community, within the people that invested with us, and more broadly, to talk about us. And then we've got an event idea that we're looking at for November that I will share more with you about soon. But so the broad goal really is just, I've forced poor Dermot to delay slightly on wPOKT because, it is ready to launch on time. And I'm kind of pushing that back just so that we can make sure that we really get maximum mileage from it, and that we can turn it into, a snowball that will build and gain momentum as we go. All of the kind of key elements within that are in that forum post. There is a ton to do. It's kind of scary to look at the next 4 weeks, but every single person in the foundation, I'm sure within the community, is kind of pulling in to make this fly. At this point, I don't know if everybody's seen the forum post, but would love to just invite anybody to share any questions they might have about the thinking, or any element of that.
And I dropped directly into the chat if anybody wants to go check that. And ads, this might be a great opportunity to just kind of go through any ways that you think the community can help. I know you have a list at the bottom of the forum post, but what can they do?
Yeah, so I'm always greedy. I've got a ton of ways that everybody can help. The biggest way is just share your thoughts and your perspectives. I love healthy debate. I would love people to comment and share. I know there's a lot of talent in the community. And as we go into execution, just get behind it. I will share every time we drop a big message that I want help with. I will share it in Discord and Telegram. There are so many Telegram groups. If you see it in a Telegram group and you're part of another one and it's not there, help me out, share it. I know Jinx will do a great job with the Poptopus army. I know Pocket News will do their usual job at disseminating and retweeting. But just if you see us doing this, this is a key time for us as a project. If you see us posting anything, please retweet, comment. You know how the algorithms work. Get behind it and encourage others to do the same. If you feel creative and believe that we are taking steps in the right direction, and you still, you can see where we're at as a project, and you still feel fired up and excited by that, tell the world. Create your own content, create your own threads. If you want to do that as a cohort, we can create a cohort, a kind of creative cohort, where we can work on stuff like that together. Hit me up. I'm always super happy to spar on text, and words are my forte. Zach is a bit of a legend with imagery and video. So, you know, feel free to talk to us and work with us on it. So like, share, retweet, create, and generally just test it all out. So, you know, we're going to be putting the bridge will be live on the 5th. I'm going to get these dates wrong because I can't see them. The 5th, and then the liquidity pool on the 9th, and incentives on the 12th. As you see things going live, please jump in, poke at it, see if you can help us find things that don't look good or that don't feel good, so that we can remove that friction, help us root friction out everywhere we find it. The comment from Dermot here. Oh my goodness, long time. Dermot, why don't you say that? Because that's too much text.
Yeah, I was texting in the background in answer to Zach's question. But Zach was asking about all the kind of things we're going to be excited about, what's happening next. And I think the easy win really is just actually making people aware, as I was saying there, all the things that have actually happened in the last 12 months. Most people we made hands on a call last night with a guy called James Waugh, who's very well known in the crypto space, founded a number of serious DAOs, kind of led the launches for ENS and Gitcoin and a whole bunch of other very well known protocols. But he has no idea about the kind of the innovation that's happened, the milestones have hit with across the DAO, across protocol, kind of inflation, all of that good stuff. So when you hear that and get aware about that and where we're going, what's going on in our governance, how the DAO works, where the protocol's going, and then you add on to all the future stuff, it's just such an easy win. So I think the kind of key thing is to establish this baseline that POKT is a tier 1 project. We've done all this great stuff. We have amazing fundamentals, and then to get people excited about what's coming up next, because that's even more exciting, I think. So I guess it's just kind of easy wins that we didn't quite nail in the past. That kind of pathway of generating awareness, but making sure they believe us because we're talking to them in the right way that's authentic and not just pithy or just not fully thought through, or we're not communicating in the right channels or in the right way. So I guess we have a really awesome opportunity in the coming weeks to turn all that around and just generate much attention about who we are, what we're up to, and where we're going.
Thanks, Dermot. Yeah, that's fantastic. I'm going to obviously leave this open. If anybody has any thoughts, please chime in. Otherwise, I'm going to give Jack an opportunity if he wants to say anything as well, and give us any of his thoughts for the future of the protocol.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting question because we're not going to be able to talk about everything about the future of the protocol yet. There's some really exciting stuff coming, as Ad has mentioned. I think it's just we're really excited about everything that's being worked on. Actually, what I can talk about the protocol with regard to the protocol, outside of just some of this news that's coming out, it's just the amazing work that Matthew has now started to do. For those who aren't aware, Matthew was onboarded a couple months back as the new head of product for the foundation. He has an amazing resume. Before joining POKT, he was at Polygon for a couple of years, building out their product organization, and he oversaw 3 or 4 different protocols at Polygon, and now is coming in and helping Olshansky lead protocol development here, just really stepping into the role that Jess previously held. We've done a lot of thinking about the future of protocol development and how that will all be managed and how we can progressively decentralize that. And with the changes that are to be announced soon, what we'll also see on the operational side of things is that we're expecting to see a higher velocity of shipping protocol upgrades. We're expecting for it to be easier for community members, other core dev teams to be able to plug into the protocol and contribute. We're super excited about this vision of moving protocol development towards a world with multiple core dev teams, not just one core dev team. And some of the stuff that Coder has published to the forum lately are a great sign of the potential there, for us to have multiple teams working on different contributions to the protocol. So yeah, as far as future of the protocol, yeah, that's what I'm really excited about. And yeah, we're definitely, once we're able to talk a bit more about some of this stuff, we'll be looking to communicate more around, how we plan to make that vision of multiple core dev teams a reality.
Thanks, Jack. That's awesome. I wonder if this is actually a good segue, Ads, unless you have anything else, to jump into kind of the recap from Korea.
Sure. And yeah, so I'll lead that recap. But yeah, Ads, feel free to jump in if you feel like I've missed anything. Also, Arthur and Mike were there as well. So you guys feel free to jump if you have any thoughts that are relevant. So yeah, Ads and I went to Korea Blockchain Week last week. Mike and Art from PNI also went. They're here on this call. And yeah, I mean, the goal for Ads and I specifically was to connect more deeply with the Korea Community Hub, to understand the local region more and gain lessons from that that we can then apply to the broader Community Hubs program that Ads is leading now, as well as through that program engaging more with the different regions in the crypto industry, and ultimately spreading awareness. And in the process last week of connecting more with the hub and meeting people on the ground, we met with CoinEasy on the ground, Tony Kim, other key Korean stakeholders. We got a lot of lessons that we're super excited to apply to the hub program more broadly. The first lesson was there's a lot of low-hanging fruit when it comes to our comms pipeline and spreading awareness. Dermot alluded to this earlier, but yeah, we can be doing a lot more to make the wider industry aware of all the awesome work that is being done. Currently, we cater mostly to the core community who actively reads the forum, maybe understands already a lot of the tech. So we really focus right now on high context comms, forum posts, and we're not really being very inclusive with how we communicate what's being worked on, and we're actually doing ourselves a disservice. We can be making news more accessible with explainers, one-pagers for changes that are happening. As an example, we can also be more proactive about translating through our hubs organizers to make it ready for local regions. And then the other aspect of this is that we didn't actually realize the extent to which crypto news channels are localized. So we have been working with a PR firm, and we've been getting news placed in some of the larger publications, but we didn't realize, like as an example, in Korea, there are 3 main crypto news channels. That if you're not in Korea, you probably haven't heard of. CoinNest, Talking Post, and Zango. And those are the main channels that the majority of Korean crypto members will look at. And if you look at Pocket on those channels, we haven't had much activity lately. It's been several months since we've had news on those channels. And ultimately, that is undermining our engagement with the Korean market. Like, it doesn't look like Pocket's really doing anything. And this feels like a snapshot, like a sample of the low-hanging fruit that we can be addressing in terms of spreading awareness of what's being worked on. And so, yeah, we're really excited to take that insight and start to lean on our local hubs more, to understand how each of their regions consume crypto news and tailor actually maximizing awareness in those regions, and then this should also aggregate to lead to broader awareness across the industry. as well as establishing a feedback loop with those hubs to understand what's resonating, what's not resonating, and so on. So that was really just being on the ground and getting those insights from Korean stakeholders. Lack of awareness, the lack of noise, visibility about what's being worked on, was a big eye opener for us, and we're excited to leverage that. As, do you have anything you want to add to that specifically?
No, I think that more than covers it. For me personally, it was also really nice to meet Mike and Art and see how much they were out there hustling and representing the brand and sharing the vision, and hearing it firsthand from them was really cool. Which probably segues actually into Mike's cameo.
And sorry, I hate to segue in. I was just wondering if there's any Q&A on Korea or wPOKT or all the cool kind of upcoming kind of announcements coming out for POKT as well.
Yeah, if anybody wants to unmute and go ahead and ask questions, feel free, or if you want to put them in the chat, feel free to do that too.
Sounds like a no.
Great. Ads, we'll pass it back to you.
I was passing it on. I'm done.
Great.
Unless there are any questions, and obviously if anybody has questions that they don't want to share on the forum, my DMs are open, I believe, so feel free to slide in.
Great. Thanks, Ads. And Jack, was there anything else that you wanted to say, or are you feeling complete in that?
There's just a minor one related to hubs, which is that we've also realized we weren't aware just how central some of the university clubs are to the Korean community. There's one club, for example, out of I think it's Seoul National University, who do a lot. They're like super deeply embedded within like organizing like Korea Blockchain Week and connecting people and whatnot. And so this was kind of this was an example to us that one way that we could be scaling the Community Hubs program is actually through university clubs. In certain regions, the universities are going to be the perfect sort of foothold into those regions. The students that are part of these clubs are idealistic. They're more likely to resonate with our mission, because we are doing a lot of like visionary things across the board. POKT itself is a crazy idea. It's governed by a DAO, etc. Like these are all ideas that could really resonate with students. But then those students are actually, the clubs are influential within many of these regions, and the alumni of the clubs go on to be connectors, influencers, etc. So we're also thinking about how we can scale the hubs program moving forward, because currently we've got like four or five hubs. There's a lot that we can be doing moving forward to scale the hub program, and yeah, we're thinking that colleges and universities are going to be a big way that we do this.
Thanks, Jack. And I dropped a note on hubs in the chat there. If anybody wants to look into how they can start a hub, or if you just want to like explore that, you can feel free to DM me or Ads, and we can chat with you more about what it would look like to open a hub and what kind of expectations there are. But just like everything else, it is open. So we're not here gating your ability to open a hub. We're here to support you and make sure that it delivers value. So if that's something that interests you, please join us. And they interrupted somebody.
Yeah, I was just going to jump in there. When I usually go to these conferences, it's usually going to the main events and also all the side events and just meeting as many people as possible, usually from an investor or BD perspective. The other piece that was really fun is that we got to host our first meetup in Korea and in Seoul, and we just had an incredibly diverse set of people there from all ages, actually. which was pretty fascinating, and the kinds of questions that were asked were pretty insightful and really good questions, honestly. But it's really nice to actually speak to several of the local kind of Korean main projects as well. We made it a point to try to meet with as many of those as possible, and there's some pretty cool stuff happening out there. Currently in Singapore, no longer in Korea, but I would just say that it was, going to these conferences, you can just tell that regardless of where the market is today, people are just really excited to be building. So those are some of the things that were really, really fascinating for me. The meetup we hosted was fully translated live. So it took about an hour and a half, where usually a presentation like what Jack and I did would take 30, maybe 45 minutes. But that kind of highlights the importance of what Jack was talking about with localization, translation, and really being in the kind of primary venues for information for each of these countries, because Korea is different from Japan, which is different from China with how they ingest information.
Well, thanks, Mike. Yeah, that's. I just want to say, like, overall, like, hearing that there's excitement, especially in Korea, like, with our push for wPOKT right now, I feel like there's an opportunity to activate a lot of different regional markets and get everybody excited for it. So, circling back to Dermot's comment, like, this is a really great opportunity for us to activate people and get them excited about the future. And I'm stoked to hear that on the ground, people are excited about building. We hear it all the time that when the markets are a bit bearish, it's the time for building, and this doesn't seem to be any different than the last 4 winters that we've seen in the industry. So, hopeful for that. And Mike, I guess this is a great opportunity to pass the mic over to you and/or Art, or anybody else from your team who wants to talk. I'd love to get some of your takeaways from, if you have any additional ones from Korea, as well as just kind of giving us an update on what's going on with PNI about as far as your vision or future or anything that you want to get the community involved in. So welcome.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you. There's a few things. I mean, for one, Korea, I'm now in Singapore for Token 2049. And if you don't know, this is by far the largest conference in Asia. It's more finance focused rather than, let's call it developer focused. But nonetheless, particularly Singapore has just attracted basically every project in the space to some degree. So you're basically just running into to everyone and anyone and everyone throughout the day. And for me, it's really getting one-on-ones with various projects, people who are interested in using POKT, people who are interested in running their own gateways. I think everyone is acknowledging that things are definitely slow when it comes to, let's call it, like, particularly like when I talk to other RPC providers, for example, just the slow growth of the space. There's definitely, if you're pretty active on crypto Twitter, there's definitely a level of almost, I don't know if cynicism is the right word, but people are like, hey, what's going on here? We have a ton of infrastructure. We're not seeing big things built, or at least on the app side. And people really just having a lot of these kind of conversations, which is interesting for me to see, because this is now my third winter, and we're not having a proper winter if people aren't existentially questioning why they're here, which is really interesting to see for me. But at the end of the day, everyone, particularly here in Singapore, has said that this conference is definitely smaller than here. But I didn't come here last year, but I'm definitely seeing just an incredibly high quality of people that are that came here. So that's been really interesting for me to see. We're also seeing, we're also constantly talking to different gateway providers and seeing how they may be able to settle their traffic some way or another on POKT Network. And that's really ours as we go to these conferences, and of course, talking to as many dApps as possible. I know for a fact right now, Dickie is actually at an event right now, just talking to as many people as possible. And frankly, it's always better to speak with people in person. When we go to these conferences, that results in transferring more people to POKT over the long run, which is always been a good thing. I had a one-on-one with the founder of Lava yesterday. Actually, we had a nice, lovely, almost romantic tea in the mall, and that was quite a fun and interesting conversation. They're definitely doing their thing, and basically caught up and got to talk to them a bit, which is pretty cool. And just generally really just focused on talking to as many projects as possible here in Korea and Singapore. I'll pause there. I don't know if anyone wanted to talk through any questions or have any questions or anything like that, but I wanted to talk through a couple things specific to PNI that we've been working on as well. But I'll pause there for now.
I would love to hear more about this romantic conversation with Lava and what you learned.
Wait, let me see if I can share a picture here. We took a nice little selfie, but I'll try to share a picture in a moment. But no, they're focused. It seems like they're really focused on building out their supply side of the network. We're pretty different people. He's a pretty high energy dude. But yeah, looking for ways to potentially collaborate, maybe with sharing nodes on kind of low traffic chains. I think they're seeing the same issues that we've had, particularly on that side of things. I generally tend to think rising tide lifts all boats in this space. That said, I'm, for those of you who know me, I'm a pretty competitive person, and I like to think that, particularly with our strategy that I'm going to be talking about in a moment, I'm pretty excited about where we're headed with PNI, POKT Network, and everything that the DAO has been doing, particularly with the work of PNF. So no, nothing too crazy. Talked a little about personal and talked a bit about where his perspective on what it's been like launching, being in testnet and that sort of thing, and yeah, just general overall pretty friendly conversation.
Thank you for sharing.
But yeah, what's latest with PNI? What's the latest with PNI? So I'm sure most of you know we've been going through some fundraising process. We're in a pretty good spot when it comes to that. Hopefully we can make an announcement soon related to that. When it comes to the actual company, this year's really been just a year of focus. We've shed off a lot of the previous projects we were working on, and really just focusing on what we're good at and what we can do to leverage the strengths of not just PNI but the network as well. Pretty excited here. I'm going to give a little bit of alpha POKT news. I know you're here, but I'd ask you to maybe keep this a little bit on the down low for at least now. But we've been going through a rebrand in PNI, and this is really important because PNI, POKT Network Inc. is a Delaware corporation, and when we first incorporated the company in 2017, it made perfect sense to call the network or the company the same as the network. But particularly as we start to go into a world with multiple gateways, with the work that PNF is doing and with some of the work that we're doing, it makes a lot of sense to separate the brand of the company with the brand of the network. I think it's long term, we would be doing ourselves a disservice if the first gateway is called POKT Network Inc. Relative to the network itself, and I think it will eventually disincentivize people to actually participate in the network and build out this demand side market, which for me is so super critical because it really kind of completes the flywheel of the network that we initially designed. So I wanted to give a little bit of alpha. We're going to be rebranding the company into Grove Infrastructure. So think of like a grove of trees, for example. So you can imagine, if you've seen my talks, I'm a big person on. I like to usually end my talks with kind of a solar pump kind of an image. And I'm a big believer in really improving the world that we live in today. Kind of the way that I think about it is, you got a bunch of people really trying to figure out space. I think that we need more people really working on using this coordination technology to improve the world that we live in. So Grow is a bit of a shout out to that. Additionally, one of the main projects that we're working on as a company is open sourcing the new version of the portal, which is really, really exciting for us. This is something that is not going to happen overnight, and it's going to be a transition. But for me, I want people to be able to install a package on a box or a server and be able to with a really small team, whether it's, one or two engineers and a couple salespeople, actually be able to start to build a business as a gateway. This means I can install this package and, basic user auth, hooks for basic user management. It should take care of dispatching, quality of service, all these things. And the idea here is we're, as a business, really kind of going towards this open core model, able to, in a sovereign way, settle your own traffic if you want to, by being able to launch your own gateway using our open source package. I like to think that we have the opportunity, not just with what we work on, but anyone else, that we really create a standard in a world with hundreds of portals. And the way that I really think about it is I think there's space for many different types of portals and gateways that people can operate. We're already talking to various dApps, for example, that want to offer pretty niche or novel services almost in a package. So like RPC plus, let's call it account abstraction, for example. Or I think we're going to see lots of different types of, let's call it ecosystem type portals, where I want to service, the Cosmos ecosystem or the Celestia ecosystem or the POKT ecosystem or any other ecosystem, for example. I think there's a big opportunity for regional type portals as well. I think that's going to play a big hand with various types of local regulations and KYC and this sort of thing as well. Or, if I'm in, East India is coming up, I think, in December. And if I'm in Bangalore, India, and I want to service the Indian market, well, I should be able to do that, right? And for me, the idea here is that we really make it as easy as possible for as many people to spin up these portals and effectively create kind of these standards to access this data through this. And this kind of goes to what Ads was talking about with kind of the permissionlessness or the censorship resistance on the demand side. I think this is one of the things that has really hindered us over the last couple of years, and combined with some of the developments with V1, I think the timing couldn't be better. And when I think about Grove too, just to talk a little bit about that, for me, it's a place where Web3 builders can come and build in peace and without having to deal with the trade-offs of kind of traditional Web2 development, or even traditional Web3 development in terms of the quality of service and so on and so forth. So for me, it's a really big shout out to kind of really kind of building this future and really combating this kind of cynicism that I see today, that we see on Twitter or when conversations with people on the ground here. But that's a quick exciting update that we've been working on for a bit, particularly in the context of the decentralization of the demand side of the network. So that was a bit of information. But at the end of the day, us at Grove are really kind of the largest company at scale in the space, offering a real service and really kind of tackling these issues of working with a truly permissionless network on the supply side at the scale that we are. There's definitely some projects, particularly on the storage side, that are working on some stuff related to this, but given the difficulty of this, I think it's really important to make it as easy as possible for people to literally just install this package on a server and start being able to serve their own relays at the end of the day. So I'll pause there. I don't know if anyone has any questions, but I'm happy to dive into anything. Yeah, Mike, maybe I'll jump in because I think when we've talked before about decentralized demand and gateways, I think people kind of get the idea intuitively of, more gateways, more relays, but I don't really get just how different it is and how amazing it can be if we have this incredible network that provides all this infrastructure that's globally distributed, more reliant, more performant, ultimately as cost effective as possible. And then you're right, we have these potentially hundreds or thousands of different gateways, right? So it's kind of that collaborating on this underlying infrastructure, but also competing to drive standards. But it just creates a much healthier ecosystem for everyone. And it means POKT, the network, the ecosystem wins. I don't know if you want to expand on that a little bit more. And for example, because in the DPIN network, and maybe just kind of gateways more broadly, right? Because in the DPIN network, or the DPIN space more generally, pretty much everyone has gateways because they realize protocols are just too difficult to deal with. But it feels like most people haven't really leaned into having tens of, or not hundreds of gateways, just like POKT has. People haven't taken that next step. And maybe it's because our DAO is a bit more advanced, or because we really are leaning into decentralization across every dimension as part of our strategy. But yeah, I'd be interested to kind of get anything else you have to share on your thinking on that and kind of what it looks like in the future too.
Yeah, that's a real flywheel for me, right? I mean, we've got an incredible supply side of the network who have done incredible contributions. And when we have a demand side that depends on that supply side with a different perspective when it comes to developers and people using infrastructure, for me, that is the kind of mix that will just compound drastically in my mind. And that's what really will enable POKT to, in my opinion, become an institution that perpetuates. We didn't come into this to build something that would last 10 or even 50 years. Like, I think, with the space and what blockchains are doing, we have the opportunity to really build institutions that compete with the institutions that we have today to some degree, right? So for me, having that demand side that really completes the flywheel with the growth, particularly with the economics as well, with people just as incentivized to contribute and build out the network on that demand side, that for me is going to become magic, right? And I don't think we've seen anything like this with any other kind of chain. I mean, I had an investor talking to me about, when is POKT going to be profitable, like the network, right? And for me, it's enabling as many gateways as possible to be able to make that happen and to get to that 10 billion mark with the current burn that we have today. And really, I think Ethereum is the only actual quote unquote profitable network out there. And getting to that point as POKT is just incredibly exciting, and just excited to kind of show what's possible with what we're able to do. But to answer your question, I mean, for me, it's just the completion of this flywheel, right? And to really enable that side of the network is what's really going to make POKT perpetuate over these coming decades.
100%. And there's just in terms of like why it makes such intuitive sense for me and why it's so exciting is it's been playing around with reskinning the kind of bankless kind of Ryan Sean Adams kind of mental model of the DeFi mullet, but like this like a DePIN mullet. So you get your typical like Web 2 experience in the front. So you get your great UX, UI, all those different features, customer support, pay with your credit card, but then you get this amazing decentralized infrastructure, the kind of mullet in the back. And that's kind of the secret power. Like, people want to pay for convenience. We can give that to them, but they don't have to sacrifice on reliability, performance, or cost either. So I think it's kind of a real win-win. And if you believe in the power of the crowd and community, why aren't you leveraging on your demand side as well as your supply side? But I think it might be short-term thinking from a lot of players, or they want to profit also from having this front end, or just want control, or just again haven't really thought about how the incentives work yet.
Yeah, and I think we have the opportunity to really prove what's possible, because it's just been POKT is pretty unique in terms of its governance and its economics. And the more we prove that out, the more we give people the confidence to try new things. and using Pocket as inspiration. So that for me is incredibly exciting. Yeah, that's kind of the quick short update from me. Flying. I'm in Singapore now. Flying to Masari Mainnet on Sunday in New York. Get there at 6 a.m. on Monday and going straight to meetings at 9. And I'll definitely be in Turkey twice this year for Cosmos Earth in October and for Dev Connect in November, which I think will be a huge. Actually, I think it'll be the largest Ethereum related conference this year, given that there's no DevCon. So it'd be really cool if anyone makes it out there, and just let me know if you are.
Thanks, Mike. I really appreciate that update. It's so great to hear all the stuff that you're thinking about and how it's going to help the network. I realize we have 10 minutes here, so if anybody has any questions, please drop them in. Mike, I'd love to just kind of you with the same question I asked Dermot earlier, which is like, as we're thinking about wPOKT being this catalyst for turning around some sentiment with Pocket, like what kind of things are you excited about specifically, or what are the things you're thinking about that can really, turn around some of the sentiment that we're looking at now?
Well, I mean, just to talk about wPOKT and DeFi, for example, just to even enable people to, or for node runners to be able to lend and borrow, for example, and let's say I want to borrow 1,000 USDC and pay that back with my node rewards over the month, is just a huge improvement. I love to think about this space in kind of Placeholder has a great blog post about the 4 vectors of decentralization: supply, demand, governance, and capital markets. I'd say we've done incredibly well on the supply and governance side of things. Obviously, not so well on the demand side and the capital markets. And for me, wPOKT just allows us to plug in to an incredibly broad and deep ecosystem. The amount of things that people can play around with and do with wPOKT for me is just incredibly exciting. Not to mention just the general ease of access, right? When you can just do things through MetaMask. Thanks for posting that, Dermot. I think it's a great way to think about the space and different protocols and that sort of thing. So for me, that's really exciting. Obviously, V1 is something that's been in the works and obviously extremely exciting for us. But just generally, I mean, yeah, wPOKT. It's just obviously we this has been something that we've wanted to do, and we've been on an island for so long, and to be able to connect in the broader ecosystem, those impacts can't be understated.
Thanks, Mike. Does anybody else have any other questions? We've got Mike for a rare opportunity here for the next 8 minutes, so I hate to let him go to waste. I guess I'll also open the floor too. Like, Art, if you have anything you want to chime in with, or Ads or Dermot, or anybody from PNI, PNF, definitely open floor for you to add more context, speak a little bit about what excites you about the future, other things that people can get involved with. I can also just keep talking for 8 minutes.
No, it's fine. I wouldn't want you to strain your vocal cords for too much longer. So on our end, I've done my best, or I've been trying to do my best to kind of keep everyone updated, at least on the POKT post Den Telegram groups. I have the biggest blast radius. Just echoing kind of what Mike said, we have basically just been redoing everything this year. To give you an idea of how we have been operating, we have basically went from a burn of 1.2 million a month in January to about $300,000 a month as of this month. So we've had to shed a lot of different business lines that we've had, and a lot of that came from splitting PNI up from PNF and offloading things to the DAO and to the community. Leveraging the fact that we are not just one company, but we have a massive ecosystem. So that's taken a lot to figure out what it is that we should concentrate on and what we needed to unwind. So giving a lot of stuff back to the community has helped us. It's helped us focus. It's also helped us in the sense that we've had to reduce our staff in the past. So that was a forcing function for us to begin focusing a bunch more. Now that everyone here who's here, the company has basically been here for a year or more, we've all become much more Web3 native than when the folks joined over even about a year and a half, 2 years ago. So the company is in a much better place than it was at the very beginning of the year. Regarding sales deals, I think I've said it online before, but these cycles starting in Q2 have just become much, much longer. A lot of what we're focusing on are other RPC resellers. So that's what we call them internally, but basically other gateways. We've seen an uptick in those specific companies being more interested in scaling up how much they use us. They're the ones that are making the requests for the new chains that they want. As an example, they're the ones who asked for Sepolia. They're the ones who are now asking for more support for Starknet. They're the ones who are pushing Kava archival. They're the ones who are asking, like, when is base happening? And right now we are in discussions about Holsky as well, the new testnet from Ethereum. We are basically listening to these other gateways. I guess I don't think Mike said it here, but his new favorite tagline with respect to how we think about the businesses: "We are your favorite RPC." Oh, wow, I'm going to actually butcher this, but your favorite RPC gate, RPC, your favorite RPC, favorite RPC,
your RPC provider's favorite RPC provider.
Yeah, basically that's it. That's kind of how we think about ourselves right now. So, and as Mike said, there's basically two ways that we think about the business. Either you're going to come to us and use our APIs directly, or we will open source a version of the portal and let you install it on a box and potentially add value add services on top that you can buy into later. And then we see that as kind of the key positioning for Grove moving forward. We have a lot of other ideas, but given this has been the year of focus, that's kind of how we want to do it. So going back to the sales thing right now, we have had, this tests that we've had this summer, the really big tests, were all successful. All these contracts are out. But as I think I said online, between the time we reach out to a specific partner, they actually sit down, we convince them to test us, they actually run the test, they decide they like us, they decide what portion of traffic they want to move to us, if not all of their traffic. By the time they actually get the contract, by the time both sides review the contract and change the wording, then they sign it, and then when they send traffic, and then when they pay us, I'm not joking, it's like 5 to 6 months at this point with some of these providers. So we are in like month 5 for some of them. We have been on the cusp of signing multiple contracts for a week now, and every single time we get to them, they're like, all right, well, do you want to do pay as you go, or do you want to have a monthly contract? How do you want this to be paid for? So like we are very basically at the stage of now, are you going to pay us, with a credit card at the end, or are we going to bill you, invoice you, and you pay us 30 days later? So we have a lot of stuff coming. At the same time, relays are going to be in flux. When we launch Grove, we're going to be trying to tamp down on free relays. So what we'd like to do is not be burning our pocket for relays that we're not being paid for. So there might be, relays may go down for a bit before they go back up. So because we have a few things that we're doing where we're trying to lower the amount of free traffic that's going through the ecosystem and incentivize folks to actually start paying for it. Just yesterday, we had a support ticket that came in because there was a small little issue with our portal about payment. And one guy was like, I don't know if it was a guy or a girl, but one individual was like, hey, we really like what you guys are doing. We actually hit our 250,000 limit. How do we pay you? And then we fixed it, and then they started paying us. So we're starting to see like positive sentiment on paying for the service. And that's a testament to the whole product and engineering team on getting the new portal up and running. I'll let you know that we had some unforeseen tests, people just testing us and like pummeling us with traffic this summer, and we saw that we were able to handle 45,000 relays per second and nothing fell over, nothing broke. The old portal would have broken after I think 5 or 10,000 relays per second. So we are in a really, really good place to start getting these other gateways and other multi-chain apps, which is the other type of vendor we're trying to go after. We're in a really good place right now to start closing these deals, and we're seeing from the sales team that we have that all the work that we've put into focusing building out the gateway was not for nothing. Like we've made all the right decisions and all the right calls, even though some of them were really difficult, but everything is moving in the right direction. And I'll stop there.
Thanks for the context, Art. I see somebody's off mute. Rewired, do you want to ask a question? No? Yeah, Art, thank you for the update on that. It's really helpful to hear, obviously that you're tracking all these things that are happening, and it sounds like you guys have some really exciting news coming up soon as well. Some big changes and some hopefully some additional business coming into the ecosystem here. Does anybody else have any other questions? Anything else they want to chat through? I realize we're coming up on the end of the hour here, and I really appreciate everybody's time over at PNI and taking time out of their day to come chat with the community. Got a chat coming in. Otherwise, I don't know if anybody else has anything else they want to say to wrap up with. Great. Okay, well, I'm going to wrap it here, everybody. I really appreciate everyone's time. Thank you to the community for showing up. Oh, go on.
Got a quick question here.
Yeah, there's a quick question in the comments that I'll just pick up quickly. There's going to be an update post on the forum today about the website refresh.
Great. Thanks, Ed. So I think kind of the recap here is, we have a bunch of news coming out. We are committed to being a lot more communicative with the community about what those are. So expect to hear from us a lot more often. And we're really looking to keep people engaged throughout the next couple of months. So that's kind of a two-way street, right? We can put out things that we need help with, but also if you have, if there's any parts of the business that you think you would be able to contribute to, we'd love to hear from you. So please, open up requests, communicate with any one of us, DM us if you have thoughts, ideas, questions, or do it somewhere public where the community can also get involved and we can make a decision together. We realize this is a really important quarter for us, especially going into the start of 2024. We want to have a lot of momentum, and it seems like we've got a whole bunch of awesome stuff on the horizon. So really excited to work with all of you. Really appreciate everybody's time today. LFG. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.